Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Warriors Walk-Off on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us here today. And as always, we are brought to you by Russell and Associates. We'll begin this week's show by talking Warriors softball with head coach Greg Jones. And Coach Jones, quite a historic weekend for you this weekend. We'll start off with the big one, and that was Liz Potts throwing a perfect game, just the third perfect game in Warrior history. Your initial reaction to that game?
Well, yeah, first of all, she just had great stuff. You could tell from the first batter early in the season, she had a couple big strikeout games. She had a 18 strikeout game. She had a couple 16 strikeout games. And again, from the jump in those games, you could just tell she was going to the mound with elite stuff. In between those starts, they're like any pitcher, you just go through your moments, some good, some bad, some indifferent. So that was the first thing that jumped out to me the other day was from the first hitter, like, whoa, okay. You knew she was dialed in, and calling pitches, you could have kind of thrown a dart at them because everything she had was working. And when pitchers of that level go to the mound with that kind of stuff, it's probably going to be a pretty good day. With that being said, perfect games are tough. And we've had a lot of no-hitters. We've been fortunate enough to have great pitching here at Winona State. And so we've had several no-hitters, but to actually get a perfecto, that's really dealing. And so I was really happy for Liz.
Yeah, so as we said, just the third perfect game in Warrior history. Now 30 no-hitters tossed by Warrior pitchers. No correlation at all, but all three perfect games have come while we were doing this show. So I just want to throw that out there.
Well, then we're doing it forever, my man.
Yes. I think the first one, Courtney Strang in 2010 was the first year that you and I did this show together. I don't know if you did the show with Mike Hertzberg before that. Then, of course, Jordan Clement had a perfect game. I think that was 2018. And now
Yes.
Liz with this one. And I'll throw this stat out because I know you love when we do this. So of the 30 no-hitters, do you know how many have come under you as a head coach?
No idea.
28.
Oh.
28 of the 30 have come while you've been the head coach, which is just amazing. And there have been 12 no-hitters since 2016. Of course, Jordan Clement had 9 of those, but that's just amazing that many no-hitters have happened, not only under your tenure, but since 2016 at Winona State. Your reaction to that?
Means I'm getting old. I guess I've been here a while. What makes sense about that is the one thing we've done since we walked in the door is we've preached pitching and defense, and we're going to win with pitching and defense. And Cindy does a phenomenal job with our pitchers and getting them both mentally and physically prepared. Our pitchers do a great job of buying into the system and the program. And then we can defend behind them. And so all of those things, come into play. What it means to me is that the program is working and the system is working, and that we've got good coaches and good kids. And because it's tough to lose if you throw no hitters. I know that. So I like that part of it.
Well, yeah, and you have to have the offense to go along with it in order to pick up those wins. And the offense was there. It was 8-0 in that perfect game. Talk about the offense in game one.
Yeah, I thought really all weekend our offense was good, but going all the way back to that first one, I thought what set the tone was even right away in that first inning, we didn't score, but we hit the ball hard. We had some hard outs early. And then actually, ironically, as we finally scored and took the lid off, they were all bloopers. But I think one leads to the other. We had good approach. They had confidence at the plate. They were hitting the ball hard. And so then once you stay in that rhythm, the hits start to fall and then the runs start to add up.
So what is it like then for game 2 of that doubleheader against Sioux Falls? I mean, it's got to be emotional for the team to see a perfect game and to be able to celebrate that, but then you got to turn around and play another game after that. So what was that? And I think you had a celebration in between, because I think you were honoring scholar athletes, and then you play your game. So what was that like?
Well, I think that the scholar athlete thing, I think actually helped us because of what you're saying. It is hard to bounce right back and play. We had a little longer intermission than we're used to. And so I really think that helped kind of separate game 1 to game 2. It made game 2 feel like it was brand new instead of just a continuation. But yeah, it's hard. I mean, I remember Liz saying a year ago, Jordan threw a no-hitter early in the year in the Dome in February, and Liz only made it through the third inning that day before we pulled her. I remember her saying after the game, I just felt like after Jordan's no-hitter, I had to be perfect. And so I think it is hard on kids. I think it's hard on everybody emotionally, trying to separate that. And so I think the little extra break helped. And I think Abby's got a good enough head on her shoulders that, she's ready to just go out and be herself and those types of things. But the challenge is you want to celebrate it as a coach after the game and feel really good about it and clap and high five and celebrate that moment for a player, and then refocus the entire team of, hey, that other team over there still wants to beat you.
Yeah, and probably more so after a
Right.
perfect game.
Exactly.
So, did Abby say anything after game two? Because it ended up that Liz had to come in game two and actually got the win in game two.
Yeah, no, she didn't. There was no one. I didn't have a conversation with her about it anyway. I guess I don't know that she didn't feel it or say it. It didn't happen with me at that point. I think she was just out there competing and grinding, and they got a couple balls up and out of the ballpark there in the middle of the game. And in the back of our head the other thing we knew about Liz was, as good as she was also very efficient. She didn't throw many pitches. In the first inning of the game, of her perfect game, she only threw 7 pitches and had 2 strikeouts, because it was just strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. And so we knew she had a lot left in the tank, even with games on Sunday. So we had talked about going to her in the 5th inning already. And then we just waited until the 7th because of the way the game was played. So it was in the back of our head all along that we knew we had Liz in our back pocket if we needed to use her to win a game in that second game.
All right, and then you played a doubleheader against Southwest Minnesota State after that, and Liz gets the win in the first game 10-2, and then Abby really came back in the second game and threw a complete game shutout in that one, 11-0. So, I mean, what was the second day of doubleheaders like for you?
Well, it's kind of like we talk about in between games. As a coach, you're always worried about the letdown. I thought we had played very well on Saturday, emotionally and physically. And there was a lot of energy, a lot of really good energy all day Saturday. And I told the team we'd been 2 weeks before we played or in between games. It felt like forever. And it felt like 3 years since we played at home. And so we had all of that going for us on Saturday. And on Sunday, now they're just games. We're just playing again, and we're at home again, and nothing's new and fresh. And so as a coach, you're always concerned about the letdown, but we came out and scored early. And I think our offense, as well as we pitched and defended on the weekend, I thought our offense really carried us through Saturday. And that's not the takeaway. I think Liz had a no-hitter going through 4 innings again. Abby carried a no-hitter into the 3rd or 4th inning and a 2-hit shutout. So our pitchers really did what they were supposed to do and pitch very well. But I thought our offensive was what set the tone on Sunday to keep us emotionally spirited into the games.
All right. Now, I don't want to gloss over those wins, but I do want to make sure that we get everything in here. I don't know for sure, because as we're taping, the release hasn't come out yet, but I imagine Liz has to be pitcher of the week in the NSIC.
You would think if you have 3 wins in a perfect game and a couple shutouts, you would think that would get it done. But I guess if not, then somebody else had a pretty good weekend too.
All right. And then after that, so you play on Wednesday against Augustana, and this starts off a huge run. You have 12 games in 11 days coming up when you hit Wednesday. And it's, no slouches. You have tough competition almost every game. What is that like to have to prepare for? Obviously, you're probably going to say 1 game at a time, but that's a big chunk to have going up over the next couple of days.
It is, and I guess the good part is we've got as much practice in as we could ever have, and so we're physically prepared for it. The challenge, I think, is the mental side of it, of staying emotionally invested and up all the time. And but like we told them this weekend, it's not common what we do, so we have to be uncommon, and we have to be willing to be uncommon. And we have to do what's hard, not what's easy. And that's emotionally be invested and spirited and energetic all the time, no matter how many games we have and how many days. And I think they'll be able to do that. I think one of the bigger challenges is honestly not knowing when we're actually going to play. You know, the weather is still a factor this early in the season. And so you're trying to emotionally get them ready for this grind, and then not knowing that we won't just sit back and be indoors practicing again as you look at the forecast. But all we can do is prepare for it. And like you said, take them one game at a time. And there is just too much out there to do it any other way. But it is, I think when they're trying to do schoolwork and they're trying to have social lives and all that kind of stuff, it is taxing on kids. But so you try to minimize that for them by saying, okay, here's what tomorrow looks like. Let's be ready for that.
All right, and one final question before we run out of time here. You're at 18-8, and sometimes it's hard to tell with you how you feel about the team, especially when we were talking early in the season. But you know, now we're a little over the halfway point, I guess. How do you feel about your team now as we get into the meat of the NSIC season?
Well, I thought this weekend was the most complete we have played all year, and that's kind of what we've been waiting for. My feeling going into the weekend wasn't about having an evaluation of exactly where we were. I was trying to figure out where we were. I was still trying to figure out our identity. And because the one luxury I have is I see us in practice every day, and that can work better for good or for bad. I can see all our flaws. I can see all of our strengths and on a daily basis. And so I've just been waiting for us to put it together, I think, so they could see what our level was. And it was our most complete weekend where we hit well, we ran the bases well, we executed well, we defended well, and we pitched, you know, obviously extraordinarily well. And that's exactly where we need to be now going forward. Obviously, you know, at the end of the year, will tell us what kind of footprint we left and who we really became. But as we stand right now, if we can continue to play at the level we did this weekend, and we'll be okay, because that's the team this weekend that I thought we could be. And we just need to continue to try to be that group one day at a time as we go forward.
All right. Well, thank you for the insight, and good luck this week in the games that you have coming up.
Thanks so much, Justin. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, you're going to take a break here on Warriors Walk Off. When we come back, we'll talk Warrior baseball with head coach Kyle Pope right after this.
For over 60 years, Russell & Associates has been helping individual and business clients achieve what matters to them. Our trusted advisors have the expertise and experience to help with long-term plans for personal finance, business finance, or wealth management. Focus on what matters most. Call Russell & Associates certified public accountants and advisors today at 507-452-3100 or visit us online at russellcpafirm.com.
Have you seen the new Fox Sports app? Check this out. It's been designed so you can easily find everything that's important to you. You get all the top stories and scores, and then you tap here and boom, you're watching sports live on Fox. You can also follow your favorite teams and players and get all the latest news and social updates. There are even bonus cameras. It's got everything. The all-new Fox Sports app. Get it? Use it. You'll love it.
The days of classic pro wrestling, you can relive them right here with Classic All-Star Wrestling, featuring wrestling from the 50s to the 90s, the 4 top decades in the history of professional wrestling, from Gorgeous George to New Jack. It's all right here. Classic All-Star Wrestling. Fans, you're not going to want to miss it. Terry Funk, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Jerry the King Lawler, and more.
Meet Jenny Soseski of Edina Realty. With nearly 30 years' experience, she knows that right now is the best time to sell your home. Jenny will help you get top dollar, higher than ever before. With today's low interest rates, it's time to upgrade your home and increase its value. High demand and low inventory also make this a perfect time to list your home. Call for a free market analysis. Contact Jenny Soseski at Edina Realty today, 507-458-7038.
Hey, can we show you something?
I'll allow it.
Something new.
I love surprises.
I mean, really new. Like a new car.
Well, this looks fun.
And a new schedule.
Hang on. We're keeping the road courses, right?
Yeah, Chase. We got you. And a new legacy in the making.
Hey, I just want to race.
New garages to call home.
Vamos, amigos.
And a whole new reason to love what we love.
Burnout's winning, racing.
I am NASCAR.
This is the only show devoted to amateur baseball. This is Perfect Game Weekly, presented by Rawlings.
Left-handed stroke, a lot of whip, a lot of natural loft to it.
Ever since I started baseball, I've been working hard to reach my goal, and that is one day to get drafted and to make it to the MLB.
A two-seam changeup would be throwing a two-seam fastball.
And welcome back to Warriors Walk-Off here on HBC TV 25. Time now to switch gears and talk baseball with head coach Kyle Polk. And Coach Polk, again, thanks for being with us this week. You headed out to Mary for some games up in Bismarck and only got 2 in. One game actually was snowed out the second day of the 2-day set. But you had a really good time up in Mary, 3-1 wins and 7-4. Tell us a little bit about how you felt the team played this weekend.
Well, we played well. Our hitting still needs to get better, but our pitching with Kyle Gendron and Bailey Bandazinski started for us. Then our relief guys, Caleb Strack, Peter Twitty, Zach Watska, John Bresky, and Justin Furpo all did their job. So it was we pitched really, really well, and we got some key hits when we needed them.
Let's talk about game one. And you mentioned Kyle Gendron again, having a great outing, second win of the year, 4 full innings. He struck out 6, walked 1, and only gave up 2 hits. You've mentioned before, he's kind of on a pitch count as he returns from an injury from last season, but you have to be really impressed with what he's been able to do his first couple starts.
Yep. He's been really good. You know, his velocity is probably not back. He was a 90-mile-an-hour guy last year before he got hurt, whatever. But he's sitting at 87, 88 once in a while. But he's got great command of his pitches, throws in the strike zone, doesn't get behind hitters very often. And we were hoping to get 5 innings out of him, but he was sick for a couple of days last week. So after that 4th inning, he even came out and said, "Hey, I'm tired. I'm a little gassed." So we made the decision to go to the bullpen, which I think was a good decision for us at that time. But he's looking better every outing.
I know that, the Tommy John surgery, it's becoming a little bit more common. And so people are coming back a little bit earlier and that from that surgery. But after that happens, do you still have your full arsenal of pitches, or are there some pitches that maybe you shouldn't throw right away coming back from that surgery?
Yeah, some of the guys, if they're a lot of slider or cutter type guy pitchers, that pitch might take a little bit longer to come back, but they usually can come back with everything. Just that the time is a little bit, the fastball changeups are going to be easy to come back to right away. And then depending on a curveball is probably the next one that comes back because it's not as much torque on the elbow and stuff. But the slider and cutter, in which he's a slider cutter guy, so that's coming back. But he's been doing really well with them.
So is that tough then to have to maybe learn how to pitch a different way if you kind of rely on a slider or a cutter and now you have to throw more fastballs?
Yes and no. It just depends on the guy. He's very smart. He knows, he's confident in his stuff, and he knows what he's doing and what he's trying to get done. So I could see a couple other guys on my staff. It might be a struggle. And we got to sit down and talk to them about what they should be doing more often. But Kyle's really, he's really tuned in on what his strengths are, and he knows what they are, and he pitches to them.
All right, very good. Offensively in game one, Carter Brinkman and Derek Baumgartner each had a home run in the game. And now Carter Brinkman, average-wise, is your top hitter this year at 292. I don't think we really talked about him a whole lot, maybe just in passing in the first couple of episodes. But what is Carter Brinkman bringing to your team this year?
Well, he's just steady. He's just really steady. He's a guy that, again, knows what his strengths are. And he knows if he starts struggling a little bit, it's because he gets away from them. He's a left-handed hitter, but his strength is hitting the ball from left center to center field and driving in that alley and whatever. And actually, that's where he hit his home run. He hit his home run to left center. They had a really good guy on the mound. It was a lefty-lefty matchup, and the guy left I think it was a breaking ball out over the plate to him, and he hit it out. But their guy was pretty good pitcher, and he was running up at 90-91 most of the game against us. So, but he got the barrel, and we just talk about guys that throw hard, getting good contact, hitting the ball hard somewhere, and see what happens.
All right, and then in game 2, 7-4 win, as we said. Sometimes game 2 is a problem, but for you guys, Cooper Kapanke had a 3-run home run that was late in the game to kind of propel you guys to the win. How did the guys respond in game 2 for you?
Well, they did a really good job. We just keep talking about stay with the plan, make sure you get good at bats, see what happens. Again, they had another good day. Our league is full of a lot of good pitchers. And so you can't get frustrated early. You got to keep going up there, have a positive mindset, know what your job is to do. And we did that. And we got them, knocked their starter out of the game, got into their bullpen, and that helped a little bit. And we just kept having good at bats, really. And finally pieced a couple together, ran a couple across. Cooper had a 3-run home run to give us the lead. Our pitching did a great job again. At that point, they had only given up 2 runs. So that kept us in the game. And then let our offense have a chance.
And then there were some, kind of tense moments at the end of that second game where Mary was able to get the bases loaded. They got a couple runs, and then Justin Firpo closed the door.
Yeah, he was. I told him you can't pitch yourself into a safe situation, so you got to try. He goes, yeah, I know, and stuff. He joked, I was just trying to make sure I know what to do in a 3-run game and stuff. So, but yeah. He came out, and they're a really good hitter. He got behind and he gave up the solo home run to lead off the inning, and then they worked a couple walks with a hit and an error I think we had that got the bases low, and they walked a guy in, but that was it. But he had pretty good stuff, so he knew. I felt confident with him on there and on the mound that we were going to be able to finish it.
I want to get back to one of the things that you said about having a lot of great pitchers in the league. I looked up the league stats and found something really interesting. Only 6 teams overall in the NSIC have a winning record. There's 1 team at 500 overall, and then everybody else is under 500. So, I mean, this is a league where you kind of get black and blue because everybody kind of beats up on each other. And you had said, in previous years, you just hope to split during series. Talk about the strength of the league and how every team is a tough team to face.
Yeah, it's not the same league it was 10, 12, 15 years ago, that's for sure. And I try to explain that to alumni at times, but I think, honestly, because we play teams from all over the country, I think our league from top to bottom is probably as good as any league in the country in Division II baseball. There's some leagues that are a little bit more heavy on the top end, like the Sunshine down in Florida with Tampa and Florida Southern, come of those teams. But if they had to come and play in our league with 15 teams, there are no slouches anymore. And then in the time frame where a lot of the conferences in the South, they play a 3-game set on the weekend, that's it. And then their midweeks are non-conference games. But once we get going, we're a 3-game set on the weekend, and then a conference midweek game. We're playing 5 games a week, are conference games. And most of those other leagues are playing 3 games a week, and they start their conferences in February. We can't start them up here. So I would match our league with anybody in the country when it comes from top to bottom.
Well, and as you talk about those 5-game weeks, you have one of those coming up this week as you take on Minnesota Crookston on the road, doubleheader on Wednesday, and then you have a Saturday, Sunday 3-game series against Minnesota Duluth. I know that you're a guy that trusts your team and doesn't really look ahead to the other teams, but going out on the road, and then actually you're not back home until I think April 15th is your next home game, but you have a lot of games on the road coming up. How do you handle that with the guys?
Well, we're gonna, we'll play this first one this Wednesday. We'll see what happens with that when the weather doesn't look good for that one again. So the weather's been killing us this year. I've never had a year like this, but we'll see what happens there. And then actually our Saturday, Sundays changed to Sunday, Monday. So we're going to be going Sunday, Monday with Duluth, and then to Bemidji on Tuesday for that conference game there on Tuesday. So like I said, there's a situation where we're playing 5 games in 3 days, and then we come back home, and then we got the weekend series and stuff. So we got our pitching lined up now, and we're just going to stay right in order 1 through 5 with our starters, and then getting our bullpen is getting sorted out. Still need to see a couple guys, hopefully trying to get them in a couple things, because like these, when we get these games piled up, you're going to need a few more arms. So we're working on, but we're just basically, like I said, we take 1 game at a time, 1 inning at a time. I know the old cliches everybody says, but they still work, and they still hold some truth. So we keep continuing preaching it that way.
Well, and I have to ask again, with all this weather and cancellations and that, I mean, how do you balance, especially with pitchers, making sure that everybody has their rest and also is ready for games, but then the development of younger pitchers who you'd like to see out there that maybe you can't see because you have to have a plan for the games that are ahead of you. How does all that balance out in a season like this?
Well, what we do a lot of times in practice is if some guys haven't thrown in a weekend or whatever, we'll get them to throw some live BP to our guys, and we can do situations that way. Today hopefully we're outside today, and but those guys, I'm gonna have them just throw bullpens, and I'll sit with them down there while they do the bullpens, and we're gonna work on some just live batting practice with our guys in their positions, getting the balls off the bat, because we haven't had a lot of that yet either out on our field. We've been going and playing games with not much practice because of the weather. So we're just gonna kind of change that way. But we really track how many pitches guys are throwing and what guys and how many innings, and we'll adjust practice schedules depending who needs to throw bullpens or live BP and who needs to just play catch and that type of thing.
And then kind of the last question here, kind of going along with that, you mentioned that you need to work a little bit more on hitting. So how is hitting and fielding kind of affected by the fact that you can't get out on your own field and practice because of the weather situation?
Yeah, it's one of those, how am I saying, one of those situations where we try to do the best we can. Now, once we've been outside, we don't do any ground ball stuff in the gym anymore because it's just not in close. So we just kind of, in pre-games, in our pregame batting practice on fields, we'll get we usually have 2 pitchers, 1 on each side of the cage, hitting ground balls to try to get as many of them that way. We'll do double fungos when we do our in and outs to get ground balls. So we're just trying to do that there. The batting practices, and we've done a lot of machine stuff. So now we want to try to transition into, we getting a lot more with seeing the arm action. So we got to throw some live BP, which means this 61-year-old guy might have to crank up my arm for a little bit to get after it. So, but yeah, it just getting more like game-like reps than anything is what we're trying to do in practice now.
All right. Well, I appreciate the time this week, and I'll let you go out, ice your arm, or get ready for whatever you need to do.
There we go.
If you have to pitch, and good luck this week.
All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for watching Warrior Walk-Off here on HBC TV 25. We'll see you next week here on HBC.